Bruno Mars swept the top categories at the 60th Annual Grammy Awards, and Kendrick Lamar took home 5 awards, leaving the event's most nominated man, Jay-Z, and woman, SZA, shut out. But with only 9 awards handed out on air out of 84, the focus of the night was, as usual, on the performances. The most startling, least promotional segment of the Grammy Awards opened the show. It was a verbal barrage and choreographed massacre by Mr. Lamar, who dominated the hip-hop categories but lost Album of the Year. He started with a giant video of an American flag behind him and, around him, a formation of marching soldiers in camouflage and ski masks, as he rapped about poverty and revenge in XXX. He was briefly joined by the song's hook donors, Bono and The Edge from U2. In another pause, Mr. Lamar cued video supertitles, "This is a satire by Kendrick Lamar." There was an excerpt from DNA Thoughts like "Dodging bullets, reaping what you sow," with Mr. Lamar flanked by fist-pumping soldiers. It ended with a gunshot and a blackout. In the silence, Dave Chappelle appeared. For more on that, see below. A dancer in loose white robes pounded a big Japanese taiko drum and shadowed Mr. Lamar's moves. Soon, he turned to verses he had recorded as guest raps for Rich the Kid and J-Rock, refusing all conciliatory roles. "Who am I? Not your father, not your brother, not your reason, not your future, not your comfort, not your rebel, not your glory." The soldiers had turned into red hoodied figures, one by one, with rhythmic gunshots and flames behind them. They fell to the stage. And in all the mayhem, with syllables flying at machine gun speed, Mr. Lamar had rewritten his lyrics so there would be no silences or bleeps from CBS, so everything he wanted to say got through. This was a popular culture moment of proud, planned destabilization. John Perilli's Never Miss a Pop Music Story. Sign up for our weekly newsletter, Louder. Yes, Cardi B was part of one of the most winning Grammy performances, alongside Bruno Mars on Finesse, with a little Bartier Cardi thrown in for good measure. And yes, she was a highlight of the sketch in which different musicians, and Hillary Clinton, read excerpts from the Trump book Fire and Fury. Inside the Trump White House, "This how he lives his life?" she asked, after reading a passage about President Trump's dinner habits. But the essential Cardi B moment of the night came before the Grammy telecast began, with a psychedelic red carpet interview with E.S.G. Juliana Rancic. Within the first 10 seconds, Cardi B said she had butterflies in my stomach and vagina, sending Ms. Rancic for a loop. Ms. Rancic might have read up on Cardi B, but she was not prepared. There is a practiced rhythm to red carpet interviews, a give and take of sycophantry and aw shucks ego. Cardi B operates on a more instinctual level, meaning that at every turn, Ms. Rancic was flummoxed, befuddled, and playing catch-up. It was 3+ minutes of old-style celebrity fluff getting crashed into and unmoored by new-style celebrity self-creation. John Caramanica for the second year in a row, James Corden, a full-time employee of CBS, hosted the Grammys. It should have been Dave Chappelle. The comedian, who went on to take home an award for Best Comedy Album, one of 9 televised awards, for some reason, first appeared with Mr. Lamar, cutting a 6.5-minute, show-opening performance that was pure adrenaline with a few chances to catch one's breath. His commentary was pitch perfect, acute in a way that much of the show failed to live up to. I just wanted to remind the audience that the only thing more frightening than watching a black man be honest in America is being an honest black man in America, Mr. Chappelle said, deadpan. Sorry for the interruption. Please, continue. After another blistering segment by Mr. Lamar, Mr. Chappelle again played narrator. Is this on cable? This is CBS, he said. It looks like he's singing and dancing, but this brother's taking enormous chances. Rumble, young man, rumble. Mr. Chappelle wasn't done. Before introducing the nominees for Best Rap Album, he gave the Grammys another quick jab to the ribs, highlighting the career of A Tribe Called Quest, which was notably left out of the category, much to the dismay of its leader, and Mr. Chappelle's friend, Q-Tip. Mr. Chappelle did not quote the late Fifth Dog, but you could all but hear one of his classic rhymes between the lines, I never let a statue tell me how nice I am. As the Grammys approached, it became increasingly clear that the burden of a #MeToo moment would fall on Keisha, the pop star who accused her longtime producer, Dr. Luke, of years of abuse in a 2014 lawsuit. Dr. Luke, whose real name is Lucas Gottwald, has denied the accusations. The Grammys, unlike the Golden Globes and the Oscars, are not known for speeches, which is why Janelle Monáe's introduction to Keisha's performance felt potent. We say time's up for pay inequality, time's up for discrimination, time's up for harassment of any kind, and time's up for the abuse of power, she announced. Keisha didn't stand alone, she came with backup, a chorus of women in white led by Cyndi Lauper, Camila Cabello, Julia Michaels, Andra Day, and Bebe Rexha. Her performance of Praying, a ballad off Rainbow, her first album since 2012, was an emotional exorcism. Singing directly to an antagonist, you brought the flames and you put me through hell / I had to learn how to fight for myself. She trembled, she screeched, she slipped around the song's melody. And she fell into the women's arms as the audience rose to its feet. Karen Gans, although none of her 5 nominations led to Grammy Awards, SZA still came out ahead in a way. She was the only nominee for Best New Artist who got to perform a full song on her own. In Broken Clocks, she sang about a frustratingly iffy relationship, topping a slow swaying vamp with jazzy, asymmetrical vocal lines that could dart nervously ahead, pivot suddenly, linger over a quivering tone and declaim a chorus. She was too distinctive to shoehorn into some Grammy medley. John Pareles' Childish Gambino, the novelty rap-turned-soul rewind project of the polymath Donald Glover, was this year's Left Field nominee for Album and Record of the Year. But instead of playing it safe and using his performance slot to do Redbone, the nominated song and surprise hit from the nominated album, Awaken, My Love, Mr. Glover did one of the only truly risky things that can be done to subvert this often overly reverential variety show. He played a song that pretty much no one has heard. And, with Terrified, backed by a band that did not appear to be miming to a pre-recorded track, he stuck the landing. A cameo from the preteen child actor and musician J.D. McCrary, who nailed his notes, was an added bonus, not to mention great synergy for the forthcoming live-action remake of The Lion King, in which Mr. McCrary was cast as the young Simba to Mr. Glover's grown Simba. Then, immediately after, an Apple commercial used a big chunk of Redbone. That's called having it both ways. Joscoscarellims. Cabello, the former member of Fifth Harmony whose solo debut album just went to #1, stepped out of Keisha's backup choir to speak up for Dreamers. Born in Havana, Ms. Cabello was brought to the United States by her Cuban mother as a child and allowed in. Her Mexican father later joined them. "Just like the Dreamers," she said, "my parents brought me to this country with nothing in their pockets but hope. They showed me what it means to work twice as hard and never give up." She quoted the Emma Lazarus poem on the Statue of Liberty and introduced U2, performing on a windblown barge with the statue behind the band. Every so often, Bono raised his arm the way the statue holds its torch. The song doesn't entirely add up. It veers between self-help and political resistance, but lines like "the face of liberty's starting to crack" and "the promised land is there for those who need it most" couldn't have had a better backdrop. John Pareles, among current artists least likely to ever be given a moment at the Grammys, Motzi, the Sacramento street rapper who appears to operate a solar system away from the music industry, in a good way, would have seemed like a safe bet. So to hear Mr. Lamar invoke the budding cult favorite as "my guy Motzi" say, "You know, God up top" all the time in his acceptance speech for Best Rap Album was a welcome gift for, probably, dozens, and not even ostentatious enough to be baffling for the millions who almost definitely missed it altogether. During a show that tends to work broad, to say the least, you've got to take the Easter eggs where you can find them. Joscoscarelli on a night where Lady Gaga, Pink and Miley Cyrus chose balladeering over strutting, the job of being a first-class pop star was left to Rihanna. The overarching aesthetic of this performance of DJ Khaled's Wild Thoughts with Bryson Tiller may have been less than clear, but it was joyous, and Rihanna threw herself into the moment, delighting online observers by breaking into the South African dance called Gwira Gwira. She punched her choreography with extra oomph while singing live, throwing ferocious faces and showing the world that she was having the most fun of anyone in Madison Square Garden. Karen Gans on a night in which two of the most dynamic Album of the Year nominees, Jay-Z and Lorde, did not take the stage, with Jay-Z reportedly turning down his slot and Lorde having not been offered her own showcase, the static performances stuck out even more than usual. Aged songs with questionable or forced relevance: Sting's Englishman in New York, Elton John's Tiny Dancer, Patti LuPone's Don't Cry for Me Argentina were well executed but unnecessary, while ballads by A Dressed Down, Feet on the Ground Pink, Wild Hearts Can't Be Broken, Broadway's Ben Platt, Somewhere, from West Side Story, and a piano-bound Lady Gaga, Joanne, Million Reasons, were limp or snoozy. Even what should have been a guaranteed gut punch, the country music tribute to the victims of the Las Vegas concert shooting, ended up a head-scratcher because of the choice to cover Eric Clapton's Tears in Heaven. As Bruno Mars put it when he won Record of the Year for 24K Magic, "Come on, turn it up one more time, too many ballads tonight." Untapped nominated acts like Migos, Lil Uzi Vert and even Cardi B, who was relegated to 2 quick guest verses, could only nod in agreement, that is, if they were still paying attention. Joscoscarelli forget winning Grammys, or even sweeping all the major categories, all the cool kids are getting shut out. Jay-Z was this year's most nominated artist, with 8 nods for his album 4:44 and various songs and videos from it, but he went home empty-handed. Lorde was nominated for Album of the Year, but didn't win. She was spotted in the audience clutching a flask, though. Cardi B, 2 nominations and no awards. And SZA, nominated 5 times, won no trophies. What was it Fifth Dog said again? John Caramanica Despacito conquered the world in 2017 with billions of views and streams, but it couldn't get a top Grammy as Record of the Year or Song of the Year. That would have been a milestone for Spanish-language pop, even though the version featuring Justin Bieber boosted the song's popularity in the United States. Instead, the Recording Academy retreated to the funk nostalgia of Bruno Mars's 24K Magic. On stage at Madison Square Garden, Despacito was back to its original Puerto Rican performers, the singer and songwriter Luis Fonsi and the reggaeton rapper and singer Daddy Yankee. They sang and declaimed its come-ons with lascivious enthusiasm, surrounded by flashing pastel lights and gyrating showgirls suggesting Las Vegas or the Latin Grammys. The song's global spread isn't over. A Spanish/Mandarin version by Mr. Fonsi with the Singaporean pop star JJ Lin appeared in November. John Pareles James Corden's trademark carpool karaoke is usually a harmless bit of talk show host self-promotion. But Mr. Corden's comedy also has another recurring shtick: self-humiliation. He carried Sting and Shaggy into it with a fake verite subway karaoke bit, as they sang old hits and a new collaboration to a stereotypically hostile New York reception that was predictable from the setup. The Grammys tried to atone to Sting and Shaggy. That new song got 2 more plugs, as a stage performance and as walk-on music for Sting, who presented Song of the Year. John Pareles The Grammys rarely if ever showcase actual gospel music, and this would have been a great year to do so. But choirs abound, providing sturdy ballast for unsteady performers. Generally, the choirs are black, the performers white. To wit, Sam Smith performed his new ballad Pray on Sunday night, but it was dolorous until the backing choir arrived to uplift him at the first chorus. But no choir in the world could make Mr. Smith any warmer than temperate, any cooler than lukewarm. John Caramanica.